I think people need a LinkedIn profile more than they even need a website in the beginning. It's so much easier than setting up a website, and you can just go in and just kind of update it over time.
I really do appreciate your comments, so why not go and watch this live on YouTube, or go to my website, kuhne.no, that's kuhne.no, for more information. Welcome back to another fun-filled show with Nicholas Kuhne. So today we have Sam Swirsky. Now, Sam is the unelected mayor of LinkedIn. And he works with 8 to 9 figure founders and influencers. He's created posts that have generated over 50 million views, 200,000 followers, 500,000 likes. So he knows kind of what he's talking about in this space. Sam, welcome.
Thank you. Be here.
So we're going to talk about LinkedIn. And I was having a discussion with some of my students this morning, and I said, okay, just make sure that you update your LinkedIn profile. And they looked at me like a cow looking at an oncoming train. I said, we need a LinkedIn profile? I said, yes, we've done this. Did you miss that class? So we were going through LinkedIn, and they had their profile photo, but then there was nothing in the background. They hadn't put anything on their LinkedIn profile. Let's just start on the real basics. Do you need a LinkedIn profile, and what are the basics that you just need to get done?
I think people need a LinkedIn profile more than they even need a website in the beginning. It's so much easier than setting up a website, and you can just go in and just kind of update it over time. The basics of the profile is you want people to know, okay, what have you done in the past that gives you credibility for what you're doing currently? So you've got kind of two sides of it, your experience, and then also what you're kind of trying to advertise as yourself right now. What a lot of people will do is they'll just kind of put what they currently do, but not what they're wanting to do or what they've done in the past. So if you want to do something, if you're aspiring to something, if you have a little experience or whatever it is, whether you're a job seeker or a business owner or what have you, you want to make sure that that's displayed right there in the beginning, the banner, the headline, the profile picture, all kind of right there along with the link.
Absolutely. So, sorry, it's my new camera. I have to try out these fancy new angles.
No, it's a great camera. You look good.
It's the, what you call it, the AI filters. Makes you look amazing. Now, I actually want to go into a little bit more detail because I've spoken to guys about LinkedIn. There's some great points that you've just made there. But what are some of the biggest misconceptions, perhaps, that people have of LinkedIn as a professional? Because I've got a LinkedIn profile. I've reached over 5,000 followers. I've got thousands of connections, etc. I'm just not getting terribly much value out of it. Mm-hmm. And what I try and do whenever somebody joins me on my LinkedIn profile, I actually reach out and say, let's get on a call. Don't just randomly join me. I need to know who this person is. But let's go back to those misconceptions. What are some of the things that people get wrong when they go onto LinkedIn?
Yeah, well, a lot of people want to just use LinkedIn as kind of a billboard. They're like, okay, I'm going to throw something on the profile. They don't engage with the community. Talking a little bit more about the profile and going into other stuff. What people do, they'll kind of put a vague description of what they do on LinkedIn, and they think, okay, well, if somebody's interested in what I do, then maybe they'll reach out. And it's like, well, you got to keep in mind, it's not just you. You're competing against everybody else who's on LinkedIn. So what you really want to have is have a really specific offer on your profile. So instead of saying, I help small business owners save money, and I've been on a few podcasts, so people are going to keep hearing me use the same example. You can say, I help small business owners manage their weekly finances so that they can guarantee that they get a paycheck, right? That they themselves get a paycheck. Or something where somebody says, I help people become better parents. Vague, boring, nobody's going to reach out for the most part. Then you can say, I help parents deal with their own childhood trauma so they don't pass it on to their kids. Most of my clients see dramatic improved results after 4 to 6 weeks. So you want to touch some pain points and you want to offer some solutions. But I see it all the time. People just say, I help, unless you want to make your offer more specific, if it's more of a general kind of market. So if I talk to a ton of financial professionals, and most financial professionals are trying to do more or less the same thing for people, but it helps. People think that if they throw out a huge net, then they're going to get a whole bunch in return. It's like, no, you got to be specific. You got to have a niche. You got to have specific pain points that you can reach that other people can't. And then you'll kind of get people. If you're in a super niche field already, if you say, hey, I help people fix their Swiss and German antique watches, well, then you probably don't need to have a super specific offer. You're already in a specific enough field that you can just stick with that. But if it's a broad kind of industry, you got to have something specific.
I think people forget that. They look at all of these numbers that social media has, and especially when you go into the ad side of LinkedIn and Google, etc., it says you can reach 52 million people, etc., etc. If you actually really understand what your target market is, you know there's only 70 people or 100 or 5,000 that you can reach. This million is not going to cut it. So being niche focused and being super niche is difficult to do because you're thinking, oh no, I'm going to miss out on all of these other millions of people. But actually, you're only going to get 3 or 4 clients or, however many a month. And that can be enough. And you need to make sure your offer and your messaging is perfectly aimed at.
And I'll say something on that too, because you brought up a good point. I recently changed my own offering on my LinkedIn about a month and a half ago. I primarily work with 8 and 9 figure founders on their personal LinkedIn. And I thought, okay, if I change it to this, I mean, we're talking about 0.1% kind of thing, but it's been so busy lately that I actually kind of had to turn off consulting for a bit. I was like, I've got so many calls coming in. Today is just packed where I'm getting so many initial calls coming in that I was like, I got to calm this down a little bit. So if you go specific, then people don't have to wonder in their head. Nobody wants to, if they're looking at you, they don't want to have to wonder, okay, can this person help me fix my problem? If I reach out, are they just going to tell me that I'm not their target client, which is embarrassing? So you want to create as clear of an offer, as least friction as you possibly can. And that, of course, works for anything. Websites, other social media platforms. It's not just LinkedIn.
So I've got a song for you, which you might have heard, which is Suffering from Success, I believe. And that you could listen to that after this call.
Okay, great.
You're working with a very niche audience and you've got a compelling offer. How many times a week, a day, a month are you sending out posts on your profile? Because this is a tough one. I've seen some folks, it's 3 a day. I've seen some folks where once a week. Obviously, per individual, it's going to differ. But what do you see if you're working with these 8 to 9 figure founders and influencers? Is it the quality? Is it the quantity? Is it a mix of the two?
Yeah, I'll give a little background with LinkedIn. A few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, it was really kind of a hot spot on LinkedIn. People were just posting and getting a ton of engagement. People were getting tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of followers. And there really wasn't a problem in just producing as much content as possible. There were just very few creators for the number of people that were on the platform. But then everyone kind of caught on and people started joining the platform and creating content, and it decreased pretty quickly. But people still had the same mindset of like, okay, well, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to beat having less views than I would like by producing more content. And I don't think that's the right route at all. There's not a lack of content on LinkedIn anymore. That was for a short, specific kind of period of time. And now the way to stand out is really to have quality content. I've seen it with clients where they reduce the number of posts they're putting out, or some people just start and they only have 1 or 2 posts a week and they get incredible engagement because the posts are just so good. And then I would also add, you want variety. It used to be LinkedIn was really only text posts, and now it's all, you've got memes and GIFs and images and videos and carousels and infographics and all kinds of things that you can put into a post. So a lot of people just only do the text post and are like, well, why isn't my content growing? It's like, well, people like variety. They don't want to only read text posts from you every single day. So I would say if you're starting out, choose whatever you're going to be able to do for the longest period of time. If that's 1 post a week, if you think almost guaranteed that for 2 or 3 years or into the future, I'll be able to post 1 post a week, then do that. If it's 2, do 2. I would urge against posting multiple times a day. There's evidence that shows that if you post multiple times a day, your posts overall get less reach. So you may get a little bit more total reach, but then it's reaching less individual people. So I'm kind of follower focused. I want each post to get the most maximum reach that it can. And if you're getting, I know I'm going a little long here, but if you get maybe to that 50 comment mark, then go ahead and post twice a day. But before then, I probably wouldn't.
Mm. It's interesting because it's becoming more, I mean, it obviously is a social media channel, but it's taking some best practice from the other platforms like TikTok, for example. So now when you open up your mobile phone or on the desktop version, there's a video tab. So now you can start seeing much more video content. I've seen that, I'm a brand specialist on LinkedIn because I've written some articles and I use all of the features. So that does help, but it means that you've got to spend some extra effort on LinkedIn.
That's right.
And that's not necessarily something that majority of business people are really good at. That's when they need to check to somebody like you saying, which one of these should I focus on? How often do I need to do it? How many connections is enough? So I see you've got 12,000 followers. Sorry, it showed 5,000 for some reason earlier. So it shot up.
I'm not necessarily a better. Sorry, go ahead.
So what I want to ask there is, if a high-level individual comes to you and says, "Look, I've got great content, but I need a specialist for LinkedIn to get B2B contact and connections," what is the kind of process that you go through?
Yeah, it's really about putting value out first. Everyone's trying to get so much attention, and I have found this throughout my life, and I feel like I'm learning more and more from it, especially as I work and learn with higher net worth individuals, that people, we call it the shotgun approach, where you're just trying to spray out as many different kind of leads and maybe posts or whatever to get as much attention as possible. And it's often kind of low quality, low value. And if you really spend some time to make either a post that was just phenomenal, where people, as Alex Hormozy would say, your free stuff is better than what other people pay for. You make it just so, it's got to hurt a little bit. So it's either it hurts a little bit because you're like, I'm giving information that I could put into a course and charge a lot of money for, and my audience is getting so much information here, or it's got to hurt because it's something personal that you're sharing as part of your journey. And it's like, okay, are people gonna, this is something vulnerable that I'm sharing. So it's good to have it hurt every so often, one or two ways. But if you really don't even focus on receiving kind of a one-via-one transaction, but you think, okay, how can I help the most people, give the most value, and just kind of grow from there? And I will say, I was doing it where I was trying to help a lot of people, but I don't feel like I had the knowledge necessary. So it might be essential for some people to improve their skills so that when you do try to give value, you're able to give more value right away.
Well, I've spoken to my students about that, and it's something you mentioned right in the beginning, that if you want to be known for something, say I want to be a leading digital marketer or social media expert, and then start writing content, start putting out posts. It might not in year one give you too much fruit, but after 4 years of people seeing, there's Nicholas again talking about social media, they're going to say, wow, I've seen him talk about it for 4 years. There's tons of articles, there's tons of content that he's done. This guy or this gal must be quite good at what they're doing. So is LinkedIn similar to other SEO activities in that, where you're not going to see immediate results in after 4 posts?
Yeah, I would say so. And it sounds like you do a great job with your students. They should keep listening.
Stop it.
Yeah. It's a consistency thing. 5 years ago, I had a post that did pretty well, and I thought, okay, well, one viral is not going to do that much for you, really, and it's going to be me posting consistently here on LinkedIn. And so I decided I'm going to commit like 10 years to LinkedIn. I'm halfway through, and I think that's why I'm kind of in the position that I'm currently in, and I've been able to work with the people that I have. Is I wasn't going to go anywhere. I wasn't going to try to make any other platform, or not that I don't think investing in other platforms is a good idea, but my business is LinkedIn. So you got to just keep going for it. I'll tell you what a lot of people do and they mess up in is they They say, okay, as long as I'm consistent, then I'm gonna make it. But the word consistent can apply to a lot of things. It can mean I'm gonna consistently become a better writer. I'm gonna consistently offer more value. I'm gonna consistently make new connections and make introductions. I'm gonna consistently learn more about business knowledge. But what people do is they're like, oh, well, I'm going to use this catchphrase consistently, and it means I'm going to consistently post. It's like, well, that's one tiny component of what it means to be consistent. And I've seen it where people have posted for years and they're not getting any more traction. And they just have this kind of this belief in the back of their mind that's a little bit unfounded, where they think they're doing this great thing, and it's really, they're holding themselves back.
Yeah, a couple of folks.
I've seen it.
Now, I want to ask something which I'm sure some people are interested in, is you speak about getting 500,000 likes and what's this, 550 million views, 200,000 followers, etc. What does that inbox look like, and how do you manage it?
Yeah, it's not as crazy as you'd probably think. Like, I'm not Alex Hormozi. I worked for Alex Hormozi. Alex Hormozi's inbox is crazy because I used to help him kind of manage.
But that's
his
what
inbox.
I mean. That's
so
what I mean.
I can tell you,
not our inboxes.
Okay, yeah, but his inbox is crazy.
Let's talk about it.
I'll tell you something that's really interesting, because I've managed a few, and at least gotten to kind of peek into the inboxes of several different high net worth influencers and entrepreneurs. And most people are just trying to say, hey, let's get together, let's collaborate. I'm going to make you this offer. Can you get on this call? And it's almost exactly like you would expect to see the inbox of somebody who makes $50,000 a year. And now it's a lot more volume, but what I'm saying is the quality of what people are reaching out to and offering is not that high. And I'm really in the position where I've learned the last few years, what you want to do more than anything is, if you're able to meet someone who's famous or is a great entrepreneur, is really doing well with themselves, you don't want to try to offer them anything in terms of, hey, let's work somehow together. Because for them to work for you, yes, that would help you tremendously. That would be a once in a lifetime kind of chance. But it's probably not going to help them hardly at all. And it may even hurt them to spend their time on that. So what you want to do, if you can, is try to get yourself in a position where you can do favors for people and not ask anything of them. If you have a chance to meet Alex Hormozi at a conference or an event, or Dan Martell or Cody Sanchez or Gary Vee or one of these amazing kind of entrepreneurs, what I would suggest to people is spend hours and hours trying to come up with some kind of project that you think would be a benefit to them and doesn't directly help you in any way, and just hand it to them. Say, hey, I'm a huge fan of what you've done. I've put everything onto this hard drive or into this file. I just want to give it to you. Hopefully you can use it. And you don't ask for anything. And you can do that on LinkedIn as well. You can just reach out to people and say, hey, I put together this project. I just wanted to give it to you. That stands out to such a degree that, yes, you may not get somebody who reaches back right away, but if you do that 2, 3, 4, 5 times, one of these really big influencers is going to say, okay, hey, there's something here. Let's get on a call, because they're ignoring 99% of the other calls.
I love that. That is amazing advice. And what will happen is that 1 or 2 people who listen to this and actually do that are going to have a change moment in their life. And it might, like you said, it might not be the first time, oh man, nothing came back, but it might be the 5th or 6th. Again, consistency, good consistency is quite important. All of these folks, I was just listening to an interesting YouTube video on Little Richard. And
I love
another one. Yeah, and another one on Dmitry Shostakovich. And both of these guys Dmitry Shostakovich played piano at a movie hall for years and years. Little Richard was doing singing and music at church for years and years. And only afterwards, when they changed career or they used those skills to leapfrog into being fantastic artists, it wasn't an overnight thing. So I just want to recommend to everyone, if there's something you really want to do, get into that field. As Sam has said here, put a feeler out, do something for free, because that investment can deliver something huge in the future. So that is really cool. Let me see here.
That was fantastic. I just want to be in the audience right now. I just want to listen to you talk about this because that was a really cool story.
There's a whole bunch more of those guys. Anyone amazing that you can think of spent 5-10 years just doing like basic stuff relating to their career that later on made them phenomenal. So you slaving away at LinkedIn is now making you a fantastic consultant because you've done all of the donkey work in the past and you've done thousands of posts. You've gone through the ringer. And now you can just off the top of your head, if somebody comes to you with something, you've got 50 different variants that you can give them that are actually going to be useful. And I want to go into the kind of skills that somebody like you has when it comes to working on LinkedIn. Because LinkedIn, you might think it's just pressing a follow button and saying, hi, my name is Nick. Let's hang out sometime. But it's data collection, content management, relationship building, communication, creative writing, data analysis, community management, strategic planning. This is a real platform that you can get real benefit and real value from. And these are the skills I took from you that you've said, not me. And all of them are relevant. And it shows that if you actually use LinkedIn if you take it seriously, you can generate big bucks. You can create great engaged communities and achieve specific goals that you're looking for, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's, as far as making real money, I think it's the best social media platform. Now, if you could if you had some kind of entertainment channel or something on YouTube and grow that to a certain point, that's a whole different kind of strategy. You have to basically be working a whole other job at the same time that you're doing that. And it's a whole other different kind of calling. But if you have any kind of regular business and you want to make money, LinkedIn is the absolute best place to be. And there's so many things you can do with it. It is a little bit complex, but there's so many angles you can take. You can say, okay, I'm going to really grow my content and grow that way. You can really go more on the sales navigator route. There's people who hardly spend any time in the content and they have hugely successful businesses. There's the paid ad side, and you can even kind of get into LinkedIn learning and learn skills needed, go into the job. So as far as a social media platform goes, there's probably more individual kind of main pages to go to and to explore and to just kind of grow from. And I think for some people, it's so overwhelming that they don't want to step into it. But as long as you're just kind of patient, you explore, you talk to people, are super friendly on LinkedIn. So if you just want to reach out to somebody and say, hey, could you kind of show me how this works? And I've seen other people do this. People are going to get on calls and just help you out. But you can do the higher net worth individuals are on LinkedIn. LinkedIn beats out any other social media platform. So B2B for sure. I think I saw a quote that said something like 80% of B2B business is done on LinkedIn. So you can try other techniques if you want. Got to be on LinkedIn if you want to be in B2B.
Absolutely. And the benefit of LinkedIn is that it's updated generally. People tell you what they're like, who they're talking to, what they're good at. So it's honestly, I mean, I'm sure people talk about TikTok being an espionage tool for the Chinese, but LinkedIn is the most fantastic spy tool you've got out there to find out who your customers are, what they want, where to get hold of them, and reach out to folks who are related to them. And it's free. So that's the other side. You can have the paid versions, like you mentioned, LinkedIn Navigator and so on, but do as much as you can for free. And then when you're starting to run out of easy connections, then I think you can start paying for the paid versions. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. There's so much you can do on it for free. I mean, I have a paid version because I'm kind of the LinkedIn guy. So
you kind of have to.
I kind of have to. But there's so much you can do with it just for free. And if you put in the time, if you put in the effort, it's a little bit of a slow build. And that's why I think some people get discouraged is they're like, well, I've put in 50 hours into LinkedIn and I haven't seen a return. I was like, okay, well, put in 500 hours and then tell me that you haven't had any kind of return.
Absolutely. Sam, where am I going to send folks to? I mean, which platform could I possibly send them to find more information about you?
Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn, surprisingly. Yeah, LinkedIn would be good. I finally got a website. They can go to samswirsky.com if they want, but I'm pretty much the only one that you're going to see. So You search for me anywhere and you'll probably find me.
So I'll stick those in a link in the description. And for those of you who are listening to this on Spotify or Apple, if you want to see our beautiful faces, go onto our YouTube channel or go to kuhne.no, that's kuhne.no, to find out more information and see some of the free stuff available for you as well. Sam, it's been great chatting to you. And we're going to have to do this again and maybe talk about something very specific that you've got bugging you on LinkedIn that we can get out there into the market. So yeah, thanks for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.